Good Monday evening, everybody. David Paul with you in the KHOU 11 Weather Center. So this week will be a week where we need to stay close to the forecast. Hurricane Center is giving this spot, which is currently in the Atlantic, on the Atlantic side of Florida, where the X is, a 30% chance for development. That's for now. What there is of this is forecast by all global and high-res models to move across Florida tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon and evening emerge into the northeastern Gulf of Mexico near the Big Bend of Florida. Once it gets in here, it has a better chance of developing, I think, especially looking at sea surface temperatures and wind shear. It's got a little window in here where I think it could develop. We're going to look at all of that as we move along. But the bottom line is all interests along the Gulf of Mexico are watching this like a hawk right now, so that's what we'll be doing as well. There is a chance that this could slide all the way across into Texas. There is a chance that it could turn north before it gets here. But we're in the very early innings of this. The system hasn't developed yet, and so we don't really have a really firm guidance on where and how this is all going to play out. What we have right now is a broad, weak area of quasi-low pressure. It hasn't officially cut off a low here yet, but you can see we do have a counterclockwise spin to the clouds and the rain. Again, here's Florida, Cape Canaveral's right there. This is the system as it's trying to get going right here. You can see the winds trying to curve into low pressure, but they haven't quite closed off yet. What there is of this has peak winds of 25 miles an hour, drifting west-southwest at 3 miles an hour right now. Sea surface temperatures. So right now it's sitting in an area where temps are running about 82, 84 degrees off the Florida coast. And really any sea surface temperature above 80 is warm enough to develop a strong storm or hurricane. But once it gets into the Gulf, sea surface temperatures are really warm. These are actual buoy temperatures, not estimates from satellite, but buoy temps. 88, 89 over a big chunk of the north central Gulf. And what there is of this is forecast to come through the Big Bend of Florida, where we've got temps of 87 here, and then get into that warm water. And so it will have plenty of energy, no lack of energy for it to develop in as we head over the coming days. Forecast modeling. So tomorrow in the wee hours of the morning, this is early Tuesday morning, this particular model does try to close off a low for a little bit. Maybe it gets upgraded to a tropical depression, maybe. Hurricane Center watching it. But then it will very quickly interact with the land of Florida. Now, tropical systems need warm water to feed on to develop. Once you get them over land or interacting with land, they weaken rapidly. So this is going to cross land, and what there is of it will weaken and become more disorganized as it gets back into the Gulf. But then here, I showed you water temperatures are very warm, so plenty of energy for it to feed on. And upper level winds are marginally favorable for development. And so modeling is fairly consistent in developing some sort of system, whether it's a depression or a storm, a named system, we're not sure yet. But they're fairly consistent in trying to develop some sort of degree of low pressure south of New Orleans as we head into Thursday. And that's about as far out as I'm willing to go with modeling. After that, things are very, very diffuse and uncertain. But the bottom line is this system will be moving into the north central Gulf, and it could continue to move west. And that would be because of this, the setup of the steering currents. So here's the modeling of our system coming into the north central Gulf. And what's steering it is this big dome of high pressure in the mid and upper levels. And it extends, that dome expands all the way across the deep south into Texas. So think of all of this purple area as a mountain of air, big mountain of air. So the low pressure doesn't want to climb that mountain. It wants to take the path of least resistance, which as long as that mountain is to its north, will keep it moving west. Now, because of the Coriolis force, this system wants to turn poleward, and it will be probing to see if it can find anywhere in here a little weakness, a little valley in the mountain. And if it finds a little valley, it'll begin to turn north and go inland. But at the moment, we're just not sure if that's going to be over Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, or as far west as Texas. So that is one of the big question marks in this whole scenario right now. But this is where the map stands on Thursday, with a developing system in the north central Gulf as we head into Thursday. I think if we were going to have direct impacts here in Houston, Galveston, it would be Friday night into Saturday. Wind shear. So we're talking about winds in the mid-levels that can either be light and allow the system to stack vertically and increase in strength, or the winds blow the system apart and keep it weak or keep it from developing at all. Right now the system is sitting here on the edge of a little bit of northerly shear, not a lot, but a little bit of northerly shear. That's why all the clouds and rain are being pushed to the south side of that circulation. As we head through time, we go into Tuesday, and Tuesday, it finds a pocket where wind shear is light. So Tuesday night, we could see a burst of development here because it's in a little spot where there is no wind shear. An unsheared environment of a developing system over warm water, those are ingredients that can rapidly have things getting organized. As we go into Wednesday, Thursday, it does get involved in this easterly shear. These are also the same currents that'll be pushing it to the west. So it will be moving along with those winds, but that may slow down or impede development. Again, this is another one of those question marks as to how much shear will there be. Will it be able to be strong enough to overcome some of that shear? Will it be moving along with the shear and not be too impacted by it? But it's something we'll have to watch. Now, why is shear important? Because without shear in an unsheared environment, you get a vertically stacked system. That's a healthy hurricane, vertically stacked up and down. It's when the system is tilted over by those mid and upper level winds blowing across it that it can disrupt that circulation, and this can tear apart existing tropical storms or keep storms from developing in the first place with too much wind shear. So we've got a battle between warm sea surface temperatures and a developing low pressure area and potential shear that could slow down or inhibit development altogether of this system. So right now there are a lot of question marks. One thing that we do know about weak tropical systems is that they are notorious heavy rain makers. Now, this is very early guidance. This is rain now through Saturday, and it's not picking up on a whole lot of rain across the immediate Gulf Coast, some heavier totals offshore. But were this to remain a weak, maybe even an unnamed system, doesn't even become a depression, but it can get all the way across the Gulf, it could over the weekend give us some rain impacts. So again, take all this stuff right now with a grain of salt. This is where we stand right now with a system that is struggling to develop, and we really haven't gotten any good model guidance on it yet. But there it is. It's something we have to watch like a hawk. So what do you do with all this? Monitor the forecast daily, at least once a day. Twice is better. Check your evacuation route and your hurricane plan just to make sure you know what you're going to do if the storm develops into something stronger than forecast and heads our way. And get frequent updates on KHOU 11 Plus or during KHOU 11 News. KHOU 11 Plus for now, we're doing a morning tropical update. We've got a full briefing at 3 o'clock live on KHOU 11 Plus. Download the app. And then we'll do another one here in the evening as well. So you get several daily updates on KHOU 11 Plus on the tropics as we move forward. Now, this evening in Houston, we are getting a thunderstorm across the northern portion of the area. Aldine area is soaking wet from downtown up I-45 to Spring. That is a special weather statement. We've got the potential for quarter-inch hail, potential for a gust of 50 miles an hour out of this storm. You can see it's now getting the Spring and the Woodlands area very wet. Right there at the Hardy Toll Road split in 99 with I-45. Kirkendall Road getting wet. Pretty heavy rain out in the Klein area as well. Meyer Park's getting wet. FM 1488 soaking wet right now. There's Woodlock. There's the Woodlands getting soaked right now. Woodlands Parkway is wet. 242 where it crosses I-45. Very wet as well. What there is of that is going to, between now and 8, 9, 10 o'clock, everything settles down and comes to an end. We will begin tomorrow morning quiet. We will go into lunchtime tomorrow with an isolated shower beginning to pop up in spots, and this will lead to a handful of scattered afternoon thunder showers on Tuesday afternoon, much like what we're seeing today. Not a whole lot of coverage, but where they develop, they could produce some heavy rain with lightning and thunder as we head into the afternoon and early evening. Big picture, here's Tuesday. A few scattered showers, watching our system come across Florida into the Gulf. Then we go into Wednesday, and that high pressure gets closer. It brings in a little dust with it as well. So I think rain chances are much lower Wednesday, Thursday, as we monitor whatever is going to become of this low pressure area once it gets into the Gulf. Will it remain a weak low? Will it become a named system? Dexter is the next name on the list were it to get a tropical storm name. So here are Tuesday's numbers. For Houston, muggy 76, 92 and a 20% rain chance by noon, then 96 and a 30% chance for a scattered thunder shower in the afternoon. The extended forecast, mid to upper 90s Wednesday, Thursday, with rain chances down to less than 20%. And then these rain chances Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will heavily depend on what eventually becomes of this low pressure area that we will be monitoring in the Gulf as we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, if that system were to develop and come directly toward Houston and Galveston, we would see impacts Friday night into Saturday and probably through Sunday as well. But Friday night and Saturday would be when we would feel the greatest impacts if it were to take that track. So now's the time to make sure your plan's in place just in case something were to come our way. All right, that's where we stand. Have a good evening, everybody.